episode 92 of 5 Drinks or Midnight. In the show, we bring the questions, guests bring the drinks. We try to wrap up before midnight. Today, we're back outside a travel bar in here, downtown Brooklyn. And today, we're going to talk to Alexandra Clough, president and founder of Gather PR. But before we do, like, subscribe, leave a comment if you like what we're doing. But let's get started. Thank you so much for joining us here at Travel Bar. 5 Drinks or Midnight. 5 drinks, 5 questions. Midnight, whatever comes first. We'll be fine. It's good. It's good drinking time. What else are you going to do on a Tuesday?
It's true. Maybe my 2 children, owning a company, working on the brands, checking my emails.
How are you doing?
Be here.
Yes, thank you for joining me at Travel Bar. Look, Mike's
long time coming. I'm really flattered.
Thank you. I'm so excited we finally get to do this. I guess our first question, what are we drinking first?
We're having Westward Pinot Noir Cask.
Excellent.
Westward, an amazing distillery, kind of an OG in the craft scene out of Oregon, and I've had the privilege of working with them for like 8 years. Love those guys, and their juice is beautiful.
I agree, and this is, was one of my favorites until Miles gave me the Chardonnay, or you sent me the Chardonnay, but we had the Chardonnay at the Whiskey Festival, and then you're always so
That was your favorite?
Okay. But this is also, I think, the bottle that we met at. So, I'm so excited. This is our first. So, first, cheers.
Cheers. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. So, you're this is just an absolutely amazing bottle. But you're a very unique guest for us. Because again,
my mother says the same thing.
You actually don't work in the spirits industry. You work for spirits brands. So I guess question one, it's always an origin story, but how did you get involved with PR and the spirits and hospitality and food and all that? So this is a whole new story for us, and we're very excited, so don't hold back.
All right, so I lived in New York for a long time. Straight out of college, moved here. I'm from Long Island, not far. Started in a big PR firm, and I wanted to be super corporate behind the scenes and do corporate communications. And so I started on our MasterCard account. That was like what I was going to do. I was going to be a suit. I was on that path. And about a year in, one of the managing partners called me into his office, and they had the Diageo account for a really long time, biggest liquor company in the world. And he said, "How do you feel about booze?" And I said, "You've been out with me before, you know well how I feel about booze." And he said, no, we need help on these accounts. Would you consider moving over? And I said, I'm really not interested in that. I really want to go down this corporate comms path, and I want to be a suit, basically. And he said, sweetheart, I run the billing. We need help on Diageo, and so you're going to be moving over. And this is back in 2008, or a little before then. Okay. So I'm a dinosaur on drinks, obviously. But the first project that I had to do was back on Jose Cuervo, which at that time I swear was super cool. And my first job was going on the road to manage the company's Pro Beach Volleyball sponsorship. Okay. So I would have to spend a week at a time in Manhattan Beach, California, in Long Beach, in Hermosa Beach, Miami. And my job was literally to make sure the Jose Cuervo branding was on the super hot professional volleyball player athletes. And then I had to make sure that we were swiping my card at happy hour afterwards, and everyone was buying Cuervo. And 2 trips in, I come back in the office, I march into the managing partner's office, and I said, I think I'm going to give booze a try for a while. I don't know that I need to be a suit anymore. And that was it. I've been in it for a really long time. I tried to take a break because drinks are exhausting. As amazing as it is, it's hard on your body. It can be tough, and at the end of the day, it's a commodity. I took a little break for about a year and missed it immensely, and I've been back ever since. Right. And I don't think I'm ever going to leave.
There you go. Well, and so when did you become then the founder of your own company?
So I had the privilege of working a couple years at agencies in New York, and then I went in-house to a company called Discus, the Distilled Spirits Council. Super nerdy, but they're the trade association that represents all the big global conglomerates. And I spent 3.5 years there and was ready for something new. And I just felt like rather than going the corporate route and working for one of the big companies, all the innovation at the time was coming out of the craft spirit sector. So this is like 9 years ago, maybe. Guys like Few, Paul Letko, really good friend, the guys at Westward, they were all sort of coming up and were just getting to the point where they needed help to give them a big push.
Okay.
And I just felt like there was so much more innovation and excitement in the craft realm, and I started a company that was based with that. Based in that, I started working with the American Craft Spirits Association, so the trade association that represents all the small independent guys like Paul, like Westward, like so many of these guys who are now on the back bar at this amazing bar. And I think the rest is kind of history.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, again, like I said, this is a whole new, usually it's me and Mike sitting here talking, and now, we have a whole new story, it's why we did the show, which is absolutely amazing.
Well, that's awesome. I love that you're giving voices and perspectives and drinks from, everyone, right?
Yeah.
From distillers to all sorts of people who are behind the scenes like us.
So and I think this is awesome. So I think this is an amazing origin story, and the Band-Aid's ripped off, the train's leaving the stage.
Wait, what's really crazy is, I'm half Irish and half Ukrainian, Russian.
Perfect drinking combination.
Really, really good tolerance, always have been, it's in my blood.
Yeah.
But what's crazy is I found out that my Irish side of the family, they were actually distillers in Chicago.
Okay.
And so it's kind of funny because this all came out later in life. My grandmother had known about it forever, and for whatever reason she had never mentioned it. But after I'd been in this industry for so long, I realized, it's quite literally in my blood. My family were distillers in Chicago.
Excellent. So it really is a true origin story circling around.
That's right.
Awesome. Cheers. There's question one.
That's awesome.
Hey, this is Mike down at Travel Bar. We're an award-winning whiskey bar in Carroll Gardens, Brooklyn. More importantly, we're a neighborhood bar with a whiskey problem. And now back to the questions.
All right. Question 2, drink 2.
We're ready.
What are we drinking?
We are drinking Milo and Green's unabridged bourbon.
Okay.
I chose this one because when I think about when I started in this drinks industry, or in the drinks industry, and where we are now, we've come so far. Listen, it's a boys club. It's been a boys club for a long time. And it's such an exciting time to be a part of the industry when we're highlighting all of these diverse and interesting founders and their brands. And Heather's such an amazing example of that. She's talented, certainly a distilling force to be reckoned with. And so it felt like a really good pick.
Awesome.
And a good representation of where we are today.
Okay, cool.
Pouring?
Yeah, please.
Cool.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Oh, that's so good. Cheers. Okay. Oh, yeah. You can't go wrong with that.
Nope.
Oh, that's yummy. Oh. Yeah, that's real good. Oh. All right, so question 2.
Yeah.
You've worked for some really big brands, you worked for some really small brands.
Yeah.
What's the challenge of vice versa, and how do you approach working via
It's budget.
money?
No, honestly, what's so fun about working with the small brands is you can be creative, right? You tend to not have huge budgets. So you have to be creative in what it is that you do. I also think that there's so much more room to innovate when you're working for the small producers, right? We don't have these giant economies of scale, and we don't have all the pressures that so many of the big brands do. And so as a result, I think some of the best innovation is coming out of the small distillers, and you've seen so many of the larger distilleries follow suit, right?
How do you approach, how do you approach getting a brand to get out there, I guess, is the big thing.
Oh, okay. So
That's a better.
I think the first thing is what's the story that you have to tell, right?
Okay.
What makes you unique and different and interesting in a really crowded marketplace? Look at all these brands behind the bar here.
Yep.
So I think identifying that story and where your unique points of difference are is the first step, right?
Okay.
And then it's about determining who's the right person to tell that story and then telling it to the right audience, right? So who's the audience that story is going to resonate with? How do I identify them? How do I approach them? And going from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally. I guess, yeah, that's probably a much better. Again, it comes down to the story. Like I think
Totally.
that's what it.
If you have a distillery, you want to bring people to where the magic is made,
Sure.
right? So if that's at your disposal, I want to take everyone there. I want to show them what it is that we do. I want to show them what their points of difference are. But you know, every brand has a different story to tell, and so it's about like finding something that's customized to them, right? You know, Westward's based in Oregon, right? So like we're not going to be able to show the distillery off to everyone, but there may be a chef somewhere in the city who we're connected with, or there may be a beautiful cocktail at a super high-end restaurant or bar, and that's something that we want to take people to because it's an opener, a door opener to a broader conversation about that brand and what it is that they do that sets them apart.
Has shit ever gone wrong? Like, I guess it's like, have you ever had like an idea and there would be like, no, we don't want to do that?
Absolutely.
Or, like, is that like?
Yes, absolutely. When you think about like all the big, I think often with some of the bigger brands, and I mean, Scotch whiskey is an industry of secrecy, right? I mean, just inherently there's so much. If you look at the way that the standards at the SWI are set up, they are like inherently secretive. And so sometimes, or the most difficult part about working with brands is when you want to tell a story that's all about authenticity and transparency, and it's just so ingrained in their culture to be anything less than forthcoming, right? And that's one of the reasons why working, I think, in craft spirits is so interesting, because like we're built around transparency, right? We're only as good as, you know, the products that we're making, the story that we're telling. And I just think that it's sort of ingrained in what it is that we do. I mean, even just the conversation around sourcing whiskey, right? I mean, that's a practice that's gone on for hundreds of years. And I think 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, we were a little more sensitive about that. But the tides turned, and I think by and large, American craft distillers are very forthcoming about where they're getting their juice from, if they're sourcing it, and exactly how it's made.
And then I guess this will tie a little bit into our fifth question, but I kind of see your job as almost that, like, because you said, like, you're going out, dropping the card, making sure everybody's drinking what we're drinking and everything. So I feel like you're almost like the Harvey Keitel of, like, the group where you're the cleaner to clean up the...
You're Jimmy, right? This is your house?
Sure is.
I'm Winston Wolf. I solve problems.
Good, we got one.
So I heard. May I come in?
Yeah, please do.
Literally the fixer.
Yeah.
I once ran a press trip when I was in my 20s out to Vegas for a brand. And at the end of the trip, all the journalists got me a shirt that said Fun Police. And you know what's crazy is, like, in the drinks industry, in my own position, like, I'm totally the fixer. I'm the, you know, I clean up the messes. But in my own, like, personal life, I'm the wild one. Yeah, like, I am the narc in this industry. It's just funny, you know?
No, like, because that's, like, I figured, like, you're...
I'm corporate.
Yeah, you're the boss. Like, you, no matter what happens, like, you are still the boss. Like, I mean, even last night, as long as it doesn't come out of my budget, we can do whatever you want. Like, that's the whole, like, I love that. Like, that is, but yeah, all right. Well, I think those are, like, three really awkward answered questions, but I think we did good.
Yeah, we finally got there.
Yeah. Question 3, drink 3.
Ready.
What are we drinking?
We're drinking Brooklady.
All right.
And it's all about Isla for me. I mean, not in the grand scheme of things, but Isla is a special place to anyone who's ever visited it. And I feel like I spent the first part of my career, specifically in whiskey, really focused on American whiskey. But you go to Isla, and it opens up a can of worms, right? It's just this magical place, and it really turns you on to Scotch whiskey. I also just, I don't know, being there made me realize that I am in the right place career-wise. I've chosen the right career. I just am so passionate about what it is that we do and these beautiful products that we make, and the people who are so passionate about what it is that they do, that dedicate their lives, you know, to making this beautiful juice. And so when I got engaged, I told my husband, I said yes, obviously, right? 2 babies later. But I told him that before we got married, he had to go to my Mecca and, like, really understand what it is that I do and why I do it. And that once you go to this beautiful place, you'll understand why I've basically dedicated my life to being a professional drinker.
Excellent.
And so I took him to Isla. And my first daughter, her middle name is Isla.
Very nice.
Because we went, it was, I mean, just as magical as ever. And we named her with a Y, I-S-L-A-Y, properly, because otherwise she would be, I mean, Americans call it Islay.
Yeah.
And we almost named her first name Isla, and we
Oh.
chickened out last minute because my last name is Clough.
Yeah.
Not my last name, the name I
Yeah.
inherited
Yeah,
in
yeah.
marriage is Clough, and so we didn't want to torture her
Yes.
completely with the way that Americans tend to bastardize.
And then is the second child's middle name Rye?
No, her name is Chauncey. Her middle name is Chauncey, and it's because she was born in COVID.
Okay.
We were leaving Brooklyn, and we wanted to give her a name that spoke to the place that she was from,
Gotcha.
that she wasn't going to live in. And my husband's family, Admiral Chauncey, built the Brooklyn Navy Yard,
Okay.
and is a relative of my husband's.
There you go.
And so we wanted to give her a New York name.
Oh, well, that's
So they're
awesome.
both named after places, but yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
It's such a nice choice too, because Brooklyn is such a balanced,
Yeah, it's a good one.
beautiful island.
Yeah, I love that. Like, this is just, as Mike knows, I'm not a big PD guy, but you know,
Yeah, but this is like,
if he puts something down in
Easy
front of
peasy
me,
peasy.
yeah. We were talking
it's not
about,
our bag.
oh yeah, but like that's, but like we were talking about that. We were talking about that last night. Like, I love like a Lefroy 30 because
Yeah.
you know I'm a boozy bitch, but like. Bougie bitch, not a boozy bitch. A bougie,
that's what I heard.
maybe a little bit of both, but yeah. But like I'm like yeah, and like whatever. Like Mike gave me something on Monday or Sunday when we were here. I was like, that was really good. And of
Yeah.
course with the stuff.
Well,
that
last
was,
night we were
yeah.
drinking Japanese whiskeys,
Yeah.
and some of those repeated, and it was beautiful.
Beautiful,
Super
yeah,
balanced,
yeah,
and
that was wonderful.
not
So like yeah,
hit you over the head with that.
but yeah.
Although I will say, one of my proudest moments when I was single and in my 20s, living in the West Village, I was employees only, and walked through the bar, and I could smell, you know, that like Lefroy Band-Aid smell.
Yeah.
I walked by it and I was like, ooh, someone's drinking Lefroy. And they like heard it and they were like, wow. I don't know if it made me cooler or like more of a drunk.
You know,
but
you know, it just I think both. Like it just yeah,
Yeah.
it just you know.
you gotta know, then
Yeah.
you train it, right?
Yeah,
Over
like,
time. So.
and again, like there's some of those you just get right off the bat. Too,
Yeah.
Like just
Well, that's right.
from the smell.
Yeah.
All right. Well, question 3.
Yeah.
You talked about going the corporate route in your origin story, and now we're in the booth. Do you have like a dream client?
I love what I'm doing right
Yeah.
now, honestly. I have the privilege, I work with Distill Ventures, which is Diageo's
Okay.
accelerator, right? So it's this kind of unicorn because the business is focused on investing in early stage craft businesses and scaling and selling them, but we're funded by Diageo,
Okay.
which makes it super fun and interesting. And I think that we're really looking, I mean, it's a venture business, right? So we're looking down the road at what's going to be exciting as a category in 10, 20 years, right? It's kind of funny because I've been working for Westward beforehand and started working for Distill Ventures. And then Westward joined the DV portfolio, and it was like, you know, my 2 favorite clients merging in one. And I've also worked with the American Craft Spirits Association too for a long time. And they all kind of work together so well, so
Okay.
yeah.
So like not, and again, not saying, not asking you to pick your favorite because that's impossible. No one did pick, but like.
But I have a favorite child for the record.
Yeah,
Okay, but continue.
I mean everybody does. Like that was my mom's. Paved the way. Do you like? Is there a spirits brand or even like a spirits opportunity that you would love to do that you haven't done yet? Like,
Yes. So I work with Becky Paskin with her Whiskey Foundation, the Our Whiskey. It's a mentorship foundation. She is an unbelievable force to be reckoned with, and I absolutely adore what it is that she does. I'm part of her mentorship foundation, and through that, I've realized that there's a real gap in the marketplace from a mentoring perspective for moms. You know,
Okay.
like, I think we've come a long way for women in whiskey. I think there are opportunities that are incredible that exist now that didn't. But I think it's really hard to like manage the struggle of being a mom and also a professional and a business owner. I mean, I think it's already hard enough to be a woman.
Sure.
To be a mom on top of that, it's really difficult. And so I really hope that there is an organization, or I could be part of the founding of an organization or a networking group that just focuses on that specific struggle.
Okay.
And I will say, like, before I had kids, I didn't understand it. Now that I have children, it's a totally different thing. I was just talking to a girlfriend of mine who works at Edgerton this morning about the very same thing, that she's a new mom to 2, so she has 2 kids now. And it's a different struggle that you just wouldn't you wouldn't understand it. So that, I think, is probably a dream for me,
Okay.
is to be working with other women who share my struggle.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a great job and Make that happen?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. But one day,
Yeah.
that's my job.
Yeah, like you don't have enough going on, so
I know.
that's.
Well, we're all busy. That's
yeah,
life.
Yeah, just, you seem to be a little bit more busy.
I don't know. I don't know. I like being busy.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't? Yeah, like, especially in, I guess, the tri-state area, it's just, yeah, if you're, stop moving, you're dead.
I know, it's true.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers, that's question 3,
I
so.
know.
There we go. All right, question 4, drink 4.
Here we are.
Not even close to midnight yet.
No, I know.
And you have to get on a plane yet
Mhm.
tonight, so.
10 p.m., which means we better keep going.
Yeah, there we
But
go.
make that flight.
Yep. All right, so what are we drinking?
We are drinking Stauning.
Excellent.
Stauning's super cool distillery
Love
in Denmark. I think what they're doing is incredible. They're known for their rye. This is a drummer selection that Mike worked with Charlie Prince on. I just think, in the context of New World Whiskeys, they're doing some really awesome things.
Some really cool stuff.
And I'm excited for what they're going to continue to do. They're a Distill Ventures brand, so I've had the privilege of working with them for a couple of years. And I love everything they do.
And I just realized we have a correction to make because we didn't meet at the Westward event. We met here.
That's right, through Mike.
Yes.
That's right, there you go.
Yeah.
There,
And I was
that's
like,
right, and I met
yeah.
here that night
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Through you.
Yep. So that's how we, correction
There you
noted.
go.
Is there.
For the record,
Yep.
record show.
Yep, we're gonna have to, Pierre. I'm not
I
gonna
know.
waste that mercy
I
on
know.
him, but yeah. Fucker. Leaves me. Alright, so question 4.
Okay, I'm ready.
I mean, again, just 2 friends sitting at the pub, and again, we talked about your life and, busy kids, flying, doing everything. Who would play you in a movie about your life?
Oh gosh. I have no idea.
Stump.
You know how you always want to be the most beautiful celebrity in the world is your doppelganger? Growing up, my celebrity doppelganger was Stacy, the middle sister in Step by Step.
Mom, you promised you wouldn't cry.
Okay.
That's a real throwback. Not the coolest celebrity doppelganger, but that was the one I got growing up.
Okay.
So I wonder what she's doing. She's probably not busy. Maybe her.
Maybe her.
She would do it. I have no idea.
All right.
That's such a good question.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Drink some whiskey.
Yeah. Who would play me? I get Lady Gaga sometimes.
Okay.
Which I'm always like, thanks. And Kaylee Cuoco.
Okay. Yep.
That's only doppelganger. It's not
Yeah.
personality. I have no idea. That is such a good question.
I think Kaylee, that would work because isn't she a party girl? Well, she's also a new mom too, so
There you go.
yeah,
It could be she.
yeah.
Jeez, I don't know who it'd be.
All right.
Wow, that's a cool question.
You have so much facets. I mean, we talked about last night of I was like, getting the reservation. Sometimes you don't need a reservation. You're like, oh, in my
Sure.
20s it worked really well.
Yeah, no, it does not. Yeah. So I'll need somebody who gets a lot of Botox. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll go with Kaylee Cuoco for
Okay.
now, and maybe by question 5 and another glass of whiskey, I'll come up with something better and more exciting than that.
All right.
Or Stacy, the middle sister from Step by Step.
I
That's a deep cut.
That's like
That's like TGIF.
Yeah.
Remember? Mm-hmm. That's how old I am.
yeah. Trust me, I got you beat. Don't worry. But that's a good. That's like indie film. That's somebody you're bringing back. That's
Yeah.
you gotta go Brendan Fraser of The Whale
There
kind
you
of
go.
thing there. So
Yeah.
that's
I still haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
I have not.
It's
yeah.
supposed to be fantastic. I'm just my kids cry enough.
Yeah.
We don't need any more crying in my
Yeah,
house.
yeah, that's it. Even on a plane,
To crush. No.
I don't want to be crying on next to somebody I don't know.
Although, when you were drinking on a plane, do you notice that I cry every movie I watch in flight?
Oh, really?
When I've had a glass of wine on a flight, there's something about it. I once was flying somewhere to Europe on a work trip and watched the Justin Bieber documentary. I don't know why. I guess I'd run out of stuff on the plane. This is before you could download
Yeah.
stuff on your phone.
Yeah.
And I watched the Justin Bieber documentary and I started to cry. And I remember texting my sister once I had gone there to be I watched the Justin Bieber documentary. It was very moving. And she was like, you sound really tired.
Love it.
There we go.
Love
There we
it.
go.
Question 5, drink 5.
All right.
Last drink of the night.
Kinosuke,
Oh, yes.
we're tasting Japanese whiskey.
Favorite.
And,
That was my favorite of last night.
It's a producer that's only been around for like 5 years, but we talked a lot about New World whiskey. Excited about where Japanese whiskey is going.
Me too.
Hoping that we're going to have a lot more producers out there who are more approachable. And Kinosuke is one of them. Distilled Ventures Brand 2, which is super cool. They're going to launch their flagship later this year. But this is one of their super limited expressions of 2022. And you bought the last bottle.
I
that
did.
was in the States.
Yes.
So, thank you for sharing the whiskey.
Yes, that's.
Really good, isn't it?
I was rude. I drank before, but cheers.
Oh, so did I.
So, no worries.
We high five. So
Yeah,
it's
it's all good. Best
So
friends forever.
obviously.
Oh, it is just so good. That is
Good,
just.
good.
I mean, I know that we drank some even just rare stuff last night, but that I don't know.
But this is my favorite of certainly the Kinosuke Expression
Yeah.
series. We tried
Like
last
that
night.
was-
That was-
I mean, flagship was gorgeous.
Well, this is what's crazy is this is at cask.
Yeah.
It's like wild.
Yeah, so like that is that with the wine cask in there and like that, and then also just being at cask right, that's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Like that is. Oh. All right. So question 5
I'm ready.
comes down to the flip the Whiskey Wednesday coin.
Ready.
You can flip it, you can spin it, you can do whatever you want. You do not have to answer.
Do I have to be able to open it?
Yeah.
I think this is really hard. Okay, so.
There we go. All right. So question 5. You being in booze and hospitality PR, I'm sure you know quite the dirty little secrets. Can you tell us where the bodies are buried?
No. Actually, the first thing that I do, we were literally talking about this in the meeting today. The first thing that I do when I onboard a new brand is obviously sign an NDA.
Yeah.
And then I sit down and I say, where are the bodies buried?
Yeah.
Because my job is to make sure that we know where the bodies are buried.
Yep.
That we know how to answer the questions when they come up,
Yeah.
right? So my job is to, it all comes back to my mother, right?
Yeah.
Everything comes back to my mother. But my mother like always had this mantra of, if you're prepared, it'll never happen, right? Like she
Right.
literally used to go to hotels growing up and she would tell us where all the fire exits were.
Right.
We'd be like, really, Mom? Like, really? And she, like, it was her mantra. If you're prepared, it'll never happen. You just have to think about contingencies. And I think a good corporate communications person does exactly
Yeah.
that, right? So my job is thinking about all the things that could go wrong and problem solving before any of them come up.
Yep.
So I know where the bodies are buried, but I've signed an NDA.
Perfect. Oh.
Did you like that response?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay.
That's. She's like, yeah, I know.
I know where all the bodies are
She's
buried.
like, I know where to bury you if you fuck me over. So like, yeah. No one's ever gonna
It's
find
true.
you.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, I just threatened to take people down into the Red Hook and hang.
I also once was criticized in work because that I can be a little. I was criticized that I was too nice, which is funny because
Really?
I think I am a stone cold. I mean, I do not think I'm very nice. But
I don't want to cross you in any way possible. So
No.
like
I mean, the fact that I got that feedback that I was too nice is funny to me because I think it's the New Yorker in all of us, right?
yeah. I think. Well, again, and I'm not a true New Yorker. I mean, you are a true New Yorker.
Well, I left the city in COVID, which is really sad.
Oh, but I mean, you're still born and raised.
Born on this island.
Yeah,
Well, not
but
this island.
The next one.
next
But yeah, I mean, yeah, you are born and raised, so you are. You are a true New Yorker. So that I'm just a transplant. So.
Well, I'm now a transplant.
Well, there you go. But well, that's 5 drinks down, 5 questions
So
answered.
much for having me.
Thank
This is
you.
the best. I love you so much.
You're the best.
Oh.
Until we can drink together again. Which,
Let's have another 5 now.
Yeah, which will
We
be.
don't have to record. Let's try
Yeah,
cameras on.
which will be in 10 minutes.
Mhm.
Like it.
That's true. I'm gonna finish this one first though.
Yeah. All right, that's it.
Thank you. No, it's not.
There we go. Done.